On this week's episode of Roundabout U, we take you to a culinary cook-off.
The REESE Museum showcases artwork depicting WPA construction in Kentucky.
We'll find out more about the student-produced magazine Notations.
And finally, faculty, staff, and students gather to take back the night.
I'm BREANNA SILL.
And I'm TIERRA REESE. Welcome to Roundabout U.
Top university chefs from across the South put their culinary skills to the test at Murray State University for the National Association of College and University Food Service Conference.
The Thoroughbred Room was transformed from the normal cafeteria into a competitive cooking atmosphere, worthy of a Food Network special.
The Culinary Challenge featured 6 chefs vying for the chance to represent the southern region of the National Association of College and University Food Service at its national conference in July.
We're doing it to showcase, I think, the skill level of the chefs that work in school food service. I think there are probably a lot of people who haven't been on a college campus in many years that still think of it as the straight line cafeteria, mystery meats, things just slopped on a plate, when actually almost every university has an executive chef and a culinary team, many of whom have attended some of the top culinary institutions in the country and have come from backgrounds of hotels and restaurants and catering. And I would put them up against any chef anywhere in the country. They're very skilled and creative, and this showcases that.
This year's Culinary Challenge at Murray State had the chefs utilize unique ingredients for the dish he or she prepared.
It was black kale and Bhutanese red rice, which most people have never heard of, let alone had to use. It's typically more like lobster or duck or chicken, you know, a protein that people are familiar with. And to see the beautiful plates and creations they did with such obscure ingredients was, I think, rather surprising.
You know, these are very skilled chefs. I mean, they work in the university environment, but these really composed plates with multiple ingredients, multiple cooking techniques, so every bit like fine dining. So,
in addition to the competition, university chefs, dining managers, and vendors are able to network and dine with each other. This allows for participants to take culinary insights back to their own university.
I attended one of the interest sessions that focused on how one of the schools in our region has been able to do a lot to change perceptions on their own campus about the food that's provided by doing behind-the-scenes tours. And I think after attending that and hearing how they got it going on their campus, I want to try it again and use some of the ideas they had for getting students engaged in it. There's always learning when you're networking and talking to others about how they're dealing with some of the issues on their campuses, because we're all dealing with the same things.
Another unique aspect of the competition is that the judges critique each chef's plate in public, giving those attending the conference a chance to see how they can improve their own dishes.
I think from the competition point of view, listening to the critiques and what the judges are looking for going forward, I think there's some good things there. It's not just about cooking and technique, there's also a big emphasis on sanitation and how you organize not only your equipment, but your process and where you go through. Because it is a competition, so 25% of your score is based on sanitation and organization. So I think some of those things are real important to learn, and if you maybe put some of those into a daily habit, then when you do compete, they'll be second nature instead of having to be only for competition, so to speak.
It is Murray State's endeavor to promote awareness and prevention of sexual assault. Take Back the Night brought the campus and community together to share stories about overcoming and surviving these devastating situations. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the Women's Center is finding new ways to get the word out. The event began with the tales of survivors. These women shared their heartbreaking stories about sexual assault and the impact it had on their lives to students and faculty. They hoped that by sharing their stories, they would raise awareness and support for other survivors.
I think the thing that always resonates with me in these kinds of things are The fact that the victims of sexual assault are always blamed for their trauma, and it is never their fault.
The event brought visibility and attention to the topic of sexual assault and what needs to be done about it here at Murray State in our society.
Take Back the Night is a really good way to bring a lot of people together in one setting to sort of say this is important and this is why it's important.
It was especially important for students to attend the rally and be impacted by the stories of survival.
We hope that through this rally they see the importance of the rest of the month, that they see that there are opportunities for them to take a stand, to be a part of the solution, and to support survivors.
And that support can be essential to the well-being of survivors, so much so that even just attending was a meaningful step in the right direction.
No matter why you came, the fact that you left with something, with some piece of knowledge that you can then tell other people about. So I think this event is just really good in starting the process.
The spread of that knowledge may one day save someone who was almost a victim. Throughout the month of April, there will be several events to promote awareness of sexual assault. April 1st was Wear Teal Day, and coming up on April 27th is Wear Denim Day. Wear Denim Day is dedicated to a case in Italy where an assaulter was pardoned because the victim's jeans were too tight, and that was ruled to be why she was assaulted.
Every year on April 27th, the anniversary of the trial, people wear denim to show support for survivors as well as to show that there's no excuse for rape. It doesn't matter what the victim is wearing, it doesn't matter the clothing, that there's no excuse.
But every single day is a day to be aware of and to help not only support victims, but to help prevent others from being assaulted.
Each of these days are just to help show your support of different survivors of sexual assault, but then also just to make it aware that you support helping prevent and that you're not going to be an innocent bystander, because there's no such thing. You're just a bystander who's helping it continue.
Do not close your eyes and do not look away. I think oftentimes many people feel that there's nothing they can do to stop something or to, intervene, when in reality, there is always something that we can do.
But if the worst does happen, Murray State is more than ready to help its community. There are several places on campus to report sexual assault, either anonymously or not.
Here on campus, you can go to public safety. There would be a record that was a report that was made, or if one wants to do it anonymously, they can go through the IDEA office, IDEA, and they're also at the IDEA office. You can report also non-anonymously, so you can give your information if you'd like.
There are also places to get counseling to help cope with the trauma of sexual assault.
On campus, we have the Women's Center where we provide advocacy for students, where we help them figure out who they need to talk to, what support they may need, get them in contact with the right people, help them talk with their parents or their family members, their loved ones.
The Counseling Center, the Counseling and Assessment Center, and psychological services are all on campus and available to anyone who needs help dealing with the aftermath of sexual assault. Organizers of Take Back the Night hope that this message will resonate throughout Murray State's campus.
It is extremely important just for people to come together and acknowledge that this type of abuse exists. And I think it was also very eye-opening for many that abuse, is not by a stranger. Most of the time it can even be within a loving, supposedly, relationship. So I think it was good for the students to hear that.
Rather West Kentucky Museum, located on the Murray State University campus, recently welcomed the exhibit Art for the People, New Deal and WPA in Kentucky. The exhibit in Rather focused on how the New Deal and WPA impacted the area at an important time in our country.
So the importance of this whole collection and this exhibit is that the New Deal actually worked quite a bit with Murray State and in Murray specifically. It built the old football stadium, it built the new Fine Arts building. They also paved several roads, including Olive.
In collaboration with the Clara M. Eagle Gallery, Art for the People, showcases local, community, and university involvement in the Works Progress Administration, WPA, which was developed by President Franklin D. Roosevelt as a part of the New Deal to support public works projects and artists. The Rather exhibit features photographs of area projects, including the nearby Kentucky Dam.
Bedrock. The drag line loaded to dump trucks. This equipment transported the excavated material to fills in areas being prepared for the construction plant. Power shovels were used later. Blasts were large in the area and broke the rock at a natural bedding plane. The rock was removed by power shovels, which loaded to 8 and 10 cubic yard trucks. These hauled the material suitable for riprap to a storage could be picked up.
The New Deal and the WPA greatly impacted Murray State. With the help from the government, Murray State was able to reach more of its potential.
It's important to show the work that was done because the New Deal came in at an important time in Murray State's history. We're a pretty new college by the time the 30s hit, and so with the Depression, it was pretty hard for us to get things done and get things going, and so with the help of these programs, we were able to help build the college and continue offering higher education to people who are interested.
Students in the community will now have the opportunity to see how something that is usually thought of as just another page in the history books impacted the place that they call home.
So I think it's interesting to see, especially for students, how the city that they live in and the university they're going to was built by something as important by the WPA. So we're doing a few smaller exhibits just highlighting some of our collection here at Rather, but this fall, starting September 25th through the beginning of November, we're doing a Harry Potter exhibit. It's traveling from the National Library of Medicine, and it focuses on how the stories of Harry Potter draw from the Renaissance time, so both in terms of medicine and stories that are told in imagery such as owls. So that'll be here, and we'll do several lectures, and we're going to do trick-or-treating for kids with that. And then in the fall of 2018, we're bringing in a traveling exhibit from the Smithsonian called Hometown Teams that focuses on the importance of local high school and college teams to a community and how that helps build a community together.
Notations. Murray State University's annual student-run literary magazine publishes poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, and artwork. All work is produced, selected, and published by Murray State students. Dr. CARRIE JERRELL serves as faculty advisor to the publication and joins us now to explain the process of putting together the magazine. CARRIE, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about the process of putting it all together?
Sure. So students from all over campus are invited in the fall to submit work to the Notations editing team. And the editors are made up usually of English students, although students from any major are allowed to work on the magazine if they'd like. And then we meet usually 2 or 3 times early fall once we have all the submissions to talk about which ones we'd like to select and figure out the page count and to see what we've gotten in our submission pool, whether we've gotten a lot of fiction or creative nonfiction or poetry. It's always interesting to see how it changes from year to year, how some years we get submissions in one genre more than another. And it gives all of the students who work on it, I think, a sense of what it's like to collaborate and work together as a team on figuring out what your kind of aesthetic preferences are. You know, some students may like a story better than other students, and so they have to kind of find a compromise in accepting what they want to accept. And so it's good for students to work like that because even if they don't ever work on a literary magazine again, they'll have to do that in one way or another in their career and in their life. So that's how the process works in the fall, and then we usually send out acceptances when we come back from Christmas break, and that's when the art and design students really sort of take over. And we meet with them, the editors meet with them, and they talk to us about what they might like to do with the design this year compared to last year, any kind of changes that we have, any sort of trends in literary magazines that the students might want to try to incorporate. And then they send us edits as they go, and we give them feedback on it. And then our goal is always to get it printed and ready to go before the end of the school year. And we're usually coming down to the wire, but it's nice to be able to distribute it across campus so that people can read it.
It sounds like a lot of hard work goes into putting this together. How many people come together to do it?
It varies. It varies. So this year's publishing team, we had 3 managing editors, all of them either second semester juniors or seniors, and then we had 5 additional assistant editors who read things. But sometimes we've had more students, sometimes we've had fewer. It really sort of fluctuates. And the design students who work on it, I believe usually there are maybe between 5 and 10 of them who work on different aspects of the magazine. Some will work more on the cover, some work more on gathering art from art students to include in the magazine. So they've all got different jobs too.
Yeah. So what's the balance like within the book between all the different genres of work?
Well, we usually try to distribute the pages so that all of the genres are well represented. But again, sometimes it depends on what we get in our submissions. If we don't get a lot of creative nonfiction, then we may only have 1 piece to include, or we might get lots of poems, and so we feel like we want to take more so that more student voices are represented. But usually the manuscript is usually around 80-ish, 60 to 80-ish pages. Sometimes it's a little smaller. I think it'll be a little smaller this year. But it's nice to have that flexibility too, and not feel like we have to fill up the pages or we have to cut them back if we want to.
Yeah. So finally, when does this book come out, and where can we find it?
Well, we're hoping that it will be out before the end of the semester. And the last couple of years, we've distributed all over campus. So there will be copies in, of course, the English department and the art department. In the lobbies, the copies are free. But we also put them in all of the other buildings on campus. So if there are any sort of gathering places for students, we try to put them there. We take some to the residential colleges, and then usually we try to get them out in the community a little bit where we think people who are interested in reading or who have time to read will pick one up. So things like the coffee shops in town, doctors' offices they're a good place because people are kind of waiting around and looking for something to read. So we try to get some copies of it in those areas as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks.
The time has almost come again to welcome a new class of racers to Murray State University. As a part of their transition into the Racer family, Murray State hosts different sessions of Racer Days, which is a day filled with tours to help new students learn about the campus and become familiar with the academic buildings.
Today is one of our Racer Days. We have about 3 or 4 throughout the academic year, and so I'm just here to escort students to their academic interests, and then I'll give a tour later on this afternoon. We will do, since campus is divided between residential and academic, we'll do both. We'll take them into the showroom in Hart, show them the Wellness Center, talk about Winslow, and then we'll probably go into the library and just show them around all the other academic buildings. So that usually is what consists of a normal tour.
Not only does Racer Days give Murray State a platform to show off its campus, it also gives prospective students a chance to find out about the community.
To me, the fun part about it is you're in this particular one, we have a lot of juniors from high school, but you get juniors and seniors from high school and transfer students and their families, and they come to Murray State University to learn more about the campus, the culture, the academics, what their sons or daughters or themselves will be going through. And it gives us a chance to really show off and talk about Murray State University and what we believe it is in. And so we stress the community, we stress the academics, we stress the family atmosphere, we stress the programs and activities that support our students both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, and give them a glimpse of what a day would look like for them as a student at Murray State University.
Racer Days also gives prospective students who might not be from the local area a chance to come to Kentucky and see what Murray can offer them.
And again, to see the number of students not only from our immediate area, but from our wider region. And then a lot of students too from out of the state, Arkansas, Alabama, Virginia, West Virginia, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, all very well represented here. And so again, it's very exciting to see that the growth of the students and potential students, and also the geographic representation. I think that goes to the fact that we are continually being known for as a very rigorous academic institution with very high standards and having relevant programs that will enable them, the students, to go out and achieve their dreams. And to me, as that word gets out, it gets more exciting. We're able to have more events like this and have the potential students come and experience Murray State University.
Through Racer Days, Murray State hopes students are further convinced that Murray State is the place they want to be.
Yeah, so we do see a lot of students who do come to Racer Day that say, oh my gosh, I love the campus, I am in love, this is where I want to come, this is where I want to have my college experience at. So this is a great recruiting tool for the university because they're able to see a lot of their academic interests that they're interested in, and they also get to see, they get to visit with some student organizations, they're able to see the campus, so it's a great way for them to get a really good perspective of what it's like to be a Murray State student.
Since they're prospective students, hopefully it helps them make the choice to come to Murray State, but also it helps them with like whether or not my major is actually offered here, or whether or not I like the campus itself, or if like the size. It's a lot harder to read that stuff on paper and think you know what's happening and actually being there and seeing it.
I came here to Murray State because I loved how close it was to home.
Where you feel like you're away at college, but close enough to where if I needed to come home, I could.
It's just so easy to meet professors and get close with people.
And the faculty and staff made the orientation process and the transition from high school to college very easy.
Not only did the university and the faculty make me feel up at home, but they also made my parents feel at home.
Everybody here actually sincerely wants you to succeed. There's nobody here trying to tear you down. They're all here to help.
At other colleges, I kind of just felt like another person. Like I didn't feel like they really cared as much.
The teachers here are always willing to work with you, even outside of office hours.
I could just really see myself being the person that I wanted to be here.
There's so many different opportunities here at Murray State. It'd be a shame to pass up on that opportunity. From the second I got here to where I am now, I couldn't picture myself anywhere else. This is home.
A chance to see firsthand how advertising has changed over the years is being featured across campus in Murray State's galleries, where WPA artists showcase their artwork that portray important moments in American advertising history.
The WPA was started in 1935 under the larger New Deal program that included a whole variety of programs intended to stimulate the economy and put people back to work.
Some were building projects. Others, like the art that's produced here, was produced under the subset of the Federal Artist Project. There were also projects for writers and theaters and kind of anything you can think of to put people back to work, and not just construction workers, artists, writers, actors, everything. So it was a huge stimulus project that ended at the kind of start of World War II.
The symposium displayed in Curry Center Gallery puts tangible pieces to the general idea of the Great Depression time period. Attendees not only learn about the history during that time, but can also analyze objects and advertisements that were created during the Great Depression. The Tennessee River Valley Dams, Murray State Old Fine Arts Building, and the Old Football Stadium are all New Deal programs and projects that our community witnessed firsthand.
Also because this area was heavily influenced by the New Deal. So there's a lot of WPA programs here on campus as well as in the region.
The keynote speaker at the exhibit is an art historian who focused her speech more specifically on the New Deal art, New Deal artists, and why millions of artists became involved in the New Deal art projects.
And work relief for artists was just as important as work relief for everybody else in the country. So artists were put to work on various projects ranging from post office murals to textile making, print making, sculptures that were placed in front of new public housing projects and hospitals, and they all became part of this work relief measure.
At the start of World War II, the defense industry became the major employer for Americans. So federal funding for the WPA projects was eclipsed, causing programs to fall.
But the art was stored or archived or put away to be exhibited 80 years later to show us all about the diversity of American art. Some of it is pretty incredible.
The WPA exhibit was backed by many different groups of supporters.
We just want to thank for this whole program, the National Endowment for the Arts. It was really made happen through that Artworks grant with matching funds from the Department of Art and Design and the College of Humanities and Fine Arts. We've also had lots of support from the alumni from Murray State, as well as WKMS. And I want to really thank my co-conspirators here, T. Michael Martin and Rebecca Williams, because they were really instrumental in putting all this together.
That's all the time we have for today. If you missed a part of today's show, you can always check us out on the web at roundaboutu.com.
And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm TIERRA REESE.
And I'm BREANNA SILL. Thanks for watching Roundabout U.